I forgot we were doing this, and I was like, oh, man, I am not in the mood. And then I went, oh, wait, it's Joe Wooten. I won't have to talk at all.
I won't have to talk at all. I'll make it easy on you. I'll do all the talking. Well, my initials are literally JAW. Joseph Allen Wooten, Jaw. Just start jawing. I learned in real time that you never ask a woman when she's due.
Oh.
Yeah. Asked her when she was due, man, and she wasn't pregnant. And there's no exit out of that one.
Yes.
No.
You just got to wait for Father Time to work his magic. It's like 5 seconds ago, 10 seconds ago, 15 seconds ago. Okay, it was an hour ago. She's in another place. Maybe she forgot, but I'll never know. Oh, man, it was awful.
It's funny you say that because last night there was a woman, she was buying merch, and Steve White, the other comic, said something to her, and he said, like, congratulations. And she, like, looked at him, and he goes, no, you were the woman who had 6 kids? Look how flat your stomach is. Like, I was like, oh, shit. He saved it.
He saved it.
But she was super thin, so I don't think he thought she was pregnant. I think he was actually saying congratulations for being so fit after having 6 kids.
Oh. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. So I learned in real time really quickly. Like, you don't say anything about pregnancy unless she said it first. If she's brought it up, then then you can jump into the subject. And my heart was really in the right place. My first wife, when she got pregnant, I loved everything about what pregnancy did to a female. You know what I mean? The hair gets, the skin gets, and the curves get curvier. And I was all in. So me and my, modern man attitude, saw this woman that I was ready to, bestow all of my virtue upon, all to find that she wasn't actually pregnant. You know what I mean? So I said, I asked her when she was due, and the subtitle for her read, "Man, your belly's really big."
That's the subtitle for me.
Yeah. Yeah, except, with men, we never have, the supposition that maybe we're pregnant.
I wish.
Our bellies get big and instantly we know we're doing something wrong. You know what I mean? Like something we're not doing right. But
are we rolling?
I hope we are. This is hysterical.
Jesus.
Man,
this is a stand-up bit. It really is.
Man, that's the thing that you can't walk back, man. You get it wrong that you think a woman is pregnant and she's not. You know what I'm saying? The subtitle, right? Well, your belly's really big. As you're saying, oh, when are you due? And hearts are coming out of your heart. You know what I mean? Because you're so endearing. And the only thing you conveyed is you're heavy enough to look like you're about to give birth. That's
Oh, God.
Yeah, man. There's no exit out of that.
You're like, when are you due to catch the bus? Aren't you getting a bus?
Yeah. Yeah, man. It was like there's just nothing, and like everything about the moment is wrong. The silence that happens afterwards is deadly. You can't put any word to fill the silence in after that. Like every word is wrong that you say after that. You can't say like, oops. You know what I mean? You can't say anything.
Blur. I didn't have coffee yet.
What are they calling in golf?
The the fact that you didn't say anything is terrible. Whatever you try to say is terrible.
What do they call it in golf when you make a mistake? They give you
Mulligan.
a mulligan. Yeah,
A mulligan.
there's no mulligan
man.
for when you do.
No, it's so far beyond a mulligan. It skips right over mulligan to hooligan. You it was awful, man. It makes it even worse because I was trying to be my best self. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was trying. It reminds me of the there's a South Park episode where the guys play a Wheel of Fortune, and the letters are N blank GGERS, and the clue is these people are very annoying. And the guys
South Park, right?
South Park,
yeah.
The guy's sweating. You can see the sweat coming off him. These people are very annoying. And let's N blank GGERS. So he's like, and the clock is ticking. So he says, and you see the camera. You see the black
camera guy's
looking
black,
around the camera,
and he's black.
and the guy's like, is it niggers? And the guy goes, no, it's naggers. It's just an example about the situation just makes the worst out of your best intent. You know what I mean? He's just trying to win the game.
All right. Somehow
Okay.
the two don't meet. Like, there's a big difference between thinking a girl's pregnant and what you just said about South Park.
No, the difference
There's
is
no reversing it.
exactly. There's no reversing.
There's no reversing it. That's true.
And
there's no taking it back.
You're doing your best to be harmless, right? But the situation doesn't allow it, and you got to meet it. He can't not have an answer. So he's just trying to win the game, and now he's going to be in cultural sensitivity classes and everything just to stay employed. Things are getting ready to go really wrong by him trying to meet the moment. And me, I'm doing my best to be my best self, and just messed up the moment and entered a related zone of not being able to redeem yourself for missing the moment. I mean, you can't blame him for these people are very annoying. It's N blank GGERS. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if I'd have said naggers. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if I'd have gone, you know what? Naggers. Those darn naggers. They bother me every day.
Wow.
As you're telling the story, I remember the cameraman going,
Yeah. Yeah. The cameraman, he looks from behind the camera. He already knows what's going to happen, You better not say it, baby.
By the way, you're the only person on this podcast who could use that.
Well, yeah, there's that. I saw a guy. He did a good thing on why only certain people can use certain words, and he gave the example of women. When they go, "Come on, bitch ass, let's go." You can't then jump in and go, "Yeah, bitch, come on, let's go." Right? There's certain situations where only certain people can participate.
yeah.
Right? Women can call themselves bitch all day long. You can't jump in and then go, yeah, or your favorite pet word for your mate. You can't go, come on, honey pie, let's go. Your best friend can't come in and go, yeah, come on, honey pie.
Mark, you can. You can.
Yeah, except unless you have a prior commitment.
I was just on a podcast, and they've taken the podcast down because the two hosts got into a huge fight. But they were talking about how we should have freedom of speech. You should be able to say anything you want. And I was like, I don't agree with that.
I don't either.
You can say anything.
I mean, that's the case right now. Nobody. Yeah,
there will be repercussion.
Absolutely, we have free speech.
Yes.
We don't have life without repercussions.
That's right. That's what people don't understand.
Right.
Well, and the one host goes to like prove the point to me, and she's like, I don't know why I can't say the word retard and I can't say faggot. You know, if you want to say something, if you want to say the N-word, you can say the N-word. And I go, I noticed you use the word N-word.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You didn't
Exactly.
say the word.
Free speech is like physical freedom. We have it. Like I could jump off this balcony, nobody will stop me. I can't jump off the balcony and continue to work because there's consequences. You know what I'm saying? You can use the N-word, it's going to be the end of your career because the rest of life exists on the other side of free speech.
Oh man. I love this.
Yeah, nobody's going to stop you from doing it, but life has hard rules, and then they have the things that are just true. And you know, life comes with history. Life comes with history. Like women know that how they talk to each other is not the same as how men talk to each other, and men have actually, you know, when the country was built, you know, and like, you know, they'll talk of the country as like when the people demanded that we have rights for ourselves, so they did the Bill of Rights. It wasn't all the people that were talking.
Right.
It was white men. That one didn't even apply to white women.
No.
You know what I mean? Demanding the right to vote didn't even apply to women of the same race. Mm-hmm. Even when black people got the right to vote, it says on our amendment, this does not apply to the Indian. You know,
yeah.
Like we got the right. We're like, okay, it's like Blazing Saddles when they go, okay, but this doesn't apply to the Irish.
Not the Irish. I love that. Yeah, I love that movie. That's one of the greatest movies.
And then finally the guy goes, okay, everybody. Well, that's kind of what the country. So women know that, so they could talk to themselves in a way that men can't join in. Come on, bitch ass, that's better. You can't then jump in and go, yeah, bitch, come on. You heard it, bitch. Get after the, you know, give me a sandwich, bitch. You can't do that because that's life. You're free to say it. You know what I mean? You're free to say it, but your marriage will probably change. You know what I mean?
I have the right to free speech.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with what we now, which we're, you know, we'll argue free speech, but we're smart enough to say the N-word as opposed to just saying the word out. Naggers. You know, I meant naggers. You're so annoying, you naggers. So yeah, I mean, free speech exists, but so do consequences. As I said, I could jump off the balcony. I'm free to do it. Nobody's here to keep me from jumping off the balcony, but I know the result of jumping off the balcony.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and when I talk to young comics, they always say like, well, I don't know why I have to work clean. I go, you don't have to. You just won't get as much work.
Yeah, it's the thing about knowing your audience and what to deliver to be effective. Even playing music, I'm aware that I like jazz more than a lot of my audiences do, right?
Yeah.
So if my jazz stuff, a lot of times I'll deliver it with R&B. I'll put it in a package of R&B because I understand what my audience likes. When we go to Europe, we can play more jazz because
they're more
they're more receptive to it.
Yes.
And that's the thing. As culture moves, the rules move.
Right.
But certain things, if you're going, especially in comedy, where everything is knowing your audience, you got to know where things like the N-word sit in your audience, and that's what what's his name, the one that was on Seinfeld,
Michael Richards.
That took the risk of just letting the word rip.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know what the hell he was doing.
I
think he was trying to prove that he was an edgy comic.
I think he was playing a character and got.
But you know, that one. I just knew that he really got it wrong. It didn't bother me that much because I think what people underestimate with black people and the N-word, we're more used to it than you think we are. You know what I mean? Like, your parents have, you're growing up, your parents have spent their whole time letting you know that you're not one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you're sort of used to being considered it, whether they say it or not. So the actual saying of it just sort of confirms more what you already know.
Yeah.
But for white people who don't have to encounter it very much, it's a bigger issue, especially if you're the person that's used it and now is being held accountable for the first time. You see what I mean? It feels heavier than black folks who deal with either the word or people figuring that's what you are anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're sort of used to dealing with the fact that you being brown walking in the room may be working against you. You know what I mean? When you walk in and the person says, "May I help you?" loud enough for security to hear. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, I mean that. You walk in and, "May I help you?" And you've heard them say, "May I help you?" to everybody else, and then you walk in and, "May I help you?" just a little bit louder. And then you're walking through the store and there's somebody in plain clothes that's always where you can see him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Every now and then, I just feel like going, do the most stereotypical African thing that I can do,
I remember working at Stand Up New York when I was a door guy there, and it was I can't remember, it might have been Bert Smooth. It was one of the promoters that would do the late shows there, and it was a black show, and there was a group of white guys who went to the show, and they walked out during the show, and I was like, "Is there a problem or whatever? Like, did something happen, or is there anything I need to know?" And they went, "We're just really uncomfortable because they keep using the N-word."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You're uncomfortable."
Yeah, sure enough. Well, yeah. Maybe you'll learn something, maybe you won't. But I mean, it's that's the difficult part. That's the difficult part about like what we consider racism, because you're unsure how much of it is just in your head and how much of it is going on. But even in that particular case, what everybody should be aware of, even more so than whether you're seeing actual racism or whether it's imagined, we should be aware of where that potential comes from and how we can get rid of the potential that it's the truth, right? Yeah. Because we have a collective history that makes the potential so possible that somebody who's grown up with more of it, it's easy for them to assume that there's some there that isn't. In the same way, there's some that have never seen it to assume that it's never there. And we have a collision of that in our country, and it's only solved by all the sides having a conversation with each other, like we're doing now. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have a conversation with it, and the conversation is seldom as big a deal as the fear of it is. Mm-hmm. Seldom is it. Some of them go wrong. You know what I mean? You get the wrong personalities together discussing it, and then all of a sudden, we see the things that we've seen before. But most of the time when reasonable people sit down to have a real conversation, we can get past it. You know what I mean? No, it's naggers.
But I agree with you, but I think a big part of the problem isn't this, and it is like it's when a bunch of guys get together or people get together and they're all of different races and we all hang out and you start to laugh and joke and make fun of each other, and you realize that's a way to bond each other even more together and realize we're not really any different. The problem to me seems to be that there's a lot of white rich press people who put things out and go, "See what they did? This is wrong." And it has nothing to do with the group of people that they're talking about. The group of people they're talking about had no say in it. They are the ones who went, "See, how bad is this? This is terrible. Oh my God." And you go, "Oh my, what just happened there?"
But it's
because division sells press, dude. I mean, let's face it, division sells papers. People
Yes, it
getting
does.
along. No one watches the news to see people get along. That's the sad part to me in this country right now.
Well, that's the truth. But that's why musicians, politicians, entertainment, creativity moves culture forward because we help to make those people who can't have the conversation still take a real look at it and learn something through their laughter or through their enjoyment of that music or through the thing that they saw in that movie that they wouldn't have had in their conversation with people that think alike.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it's the reason why. It's the reason why. If left alone, culture will evolve. People will evolve. Like when my parents grew up in North Carolina, it was the law. Jim Crow was the law, right? White man comes down the street, you get off the sidewalk, you keep your eyes averted down. That was the law in the South for hundreds of years. And it was a law in a lot of places around the world, you find. That's what Gandhi was fighting against in India. That's what they're all over Africa. That was the case. Fast forward to the next generation, you know, the civil rights laws get passed. That's no longer the law. Some of the racial pressure, some of the racial insensitivity goes past, but the law changes. The country's a little bit better. Fast forward, my generation, when I was going to school, we were the generation where the parents were still protesting because I don't want those kids going to school with my kids, right? But we did, and now those, the quote unquote, those kids are lifelong friends. In my high school is a great example. The high school is named after a slave plantation, Denby Plantation.
Wow.
Denby High School is the name of the school, but now the music department is named after the Wooten brothers. So now it's in this place. Yeah. Now
wow.
Wooten Music Hall is in Denby High School now. My point is,
evolution.
If we leave people alone, they'll get better because now those people are the best friends of these people. And now we're at the point where those people are even marrying these people. And, you know, a big constituent of schools now are biracial kids of all. So kids will fix it if we leave it alone. Mm-hmm. But it's also the reason, because things are progressing, along with it now you see book bans and you see curriculums being taken off the table, trying to keep progress from happening.
Yeah.
So my point is, progress is going to happen if we let it.
Yeah.
The challenge is to keep people from trying to keep it from happening, because it's happening. It's happening anyway. You look at music. Pretty much everybody's listening to the same music now. I mean, in my lifetime, I'm 61. I was born in 1961. In my lifetime, they used to have segregated performances. You know what I mean? All the white people over there, all the black people over there, because Jim Crow was the law in the South, right? That didn't stop being the law in the South until 1964, the Civil Rights Act.
That late?
1964 was the Civil Rights Act. 1965 was the Voting Rights Act, right? Where the law actually said. So that's what I remind my white friends that think that I overdo it talking about race. I'm like, freedom on paper for black people is younger than me.
Yeah.
It's younger than I am. Now, is there a way of over talking about it? Yeah, of course there is. There's a way of overdoing anything. But it's important for us to understand. It's important for us to understand each other and why some people are hypersensitive to race. Some people are hypersensitive to it because in their lives they can't get away from it, right?
Yeah.
Like, or either they know somebody who in their life they couldn't get away from. My parents grew up in it. Like Jim Crow was the law, right? My mom, her first school was all 12 grades in one room with one teacher. All 12 grades in one room with one teacher. So for a lot of black people my parents' age, they only had a 6th grade education because they lived in a city that didn't offer a high school that gave a diploma for that. That's one generation back from me.
Yeah.
That's not like pre-Abraham Lincoln slavery days. This is like my mom and my dad. Now, fortunately, in my mom's rural North Carolina town, they built a high school of which my mom was the valedictorian. Right? My mom wrote her alma mater too. She wrote the words to her alma mater. The music teacher did the music. My brother Reggie wrote the alma mater and the music to our high school in Virginia.
That's awesome.
But my point is,
Wow.
the country is still
Look at what growth.
developing, and some of the worst parts of our country are just recently starting to undo. I mean, the fact that my parents were able to get a high school diploma and some weren't is just one generation back from me. I have a music friend whose dad moved from Memphis to Nashville because he could get a high school diploma in Nashville that he couldn't get in Memphis. And it's his dad. This kid is probably 6, 7 years younger, maybe 5 years younger than me. You know what I mean? So I recognize that the average white person probably doesn't know that statistic. And I'll give him some grace, him or her some grace because of it. But the conversation, I feel like if a person has a conversation with me, they'll learn something because I think that I can talk to anybody without it turning toxic. I hope that's one of my superpowers. I feel like it is. But if
mine is I can eat a lot. That's my.
I just feel if we talk more, we'll fight less. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I totally agree. Even if we talk in a mean way, right? If we're talking, it's a start. Sometimes, especially now that every human has a gun, a lot of times we never get to the talking.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's funny the generations how they grow because I grew up. My family is pretty progressive. If you in the terms of they came over from Italy, they became citizens. My grandparents, but he worked in a coal mining town in central Pennsylvania. Everybody there was Italian.
Yeah, right.
So I was in high school, and I remember it was in May because it was my birthday. It was my senior year. We're in the backyard at my grandma's house. It's this really nice suburban, house or whatever. And I remember a little kid rode by on a bike, and my grandma jumps out of her seat. And she goes, "Oh my God, everybody, look, there's a colored kid." And she ran to the front yard. She was so excited. She was in her 80s.
Yeah.
And probably hasn't seen a person of color in 50 years.
Wow.
Because they lived in this town that was so isolated, whatever. And it wasn't anything negative. She wasn't.
Right.
She just was excited. She said that they do this summer camp where they bring the kids from the city out to the country to see how the country is, go fishing and hiking and whatever. But she was so excited. I remember thinking, because a senior from Youngstown, Ohio, and I'm sitting there going holy shit, Nona's never seen a black kid. Wow, what a weird moment.
But it also illustrates how a lot of what adults fear for young kids, it's like the kids are already way past the thing that they fear. Like you were saying, you were saying they're just seeing a black kid for the first time, right? It's like the Dangerfield joke where he says, I tried to tell my kids about the birds and the bees. They told me about my wife and the butcher, right there. They're way beyond the thing that you fear for them. You know what I mean? Kids are like today when they talk about transvestites and not cross-dressing in kids, right? Kids are they're so far past fearing a man in a dress.
Yeah.
The generation behind me, they're not worried about who goes in what bathroom. They're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's us fearing it for them, and they're long past it. I'm sure you could find some somewhere, but for them, I'm sure you'll find very few that go, that's the issue of our time. You know,
this is a hill I want to die on.
Yeah.
What bathroom you can use.
There's some stuff to discuss. You know what I mean? A male transgender that runs track, right? I understand the female that, you know, is tired of losing to the female that used to be a male. That's something worth discussing. But left to their devices, I don't think they're trying to kill each other over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some stuff that needs discussing that I'm pretty sure that we can discuss without trying to kill each other. And it's much easier to laugh at the N blank GGERS and the guy getting it wrong and the repercussions of it.
Yeah.
Than it is to just sit down and have a discussion with somebody who doesn't want to bring it up.
Bless you.
Yeah. There's, and I think, and maybe, to some people, they would argue with me that it's not quick enough, but I feel like the boat's going in the right direction. We're moving in the right direction. It might not be at the speed we want it, but let's just keep moving in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep it going, and
yeah, I mean, it's the thing about it is we're all on the boat, right? So for the people who need cultural change, or for the people who need more tolerance, or for the people who need more cultural education, need people to have more cultural education, it's not moving fast enough for them because they're still getting, they're still the, as anti-Jew violence goes up, as anti-black violence goes up, as anti-trans violence goes up. It's not moving fast enough for those people getting hurt. But in terms of the people who need to, in the big picture, there are people who literally need time to turn back centuries of conditioning. Like in Tennessee, I know some folks who just come from just generations of never having to deal with black folks except to look at them negatively, right? I understand why they don't think like me. The young musician who's traveled the world, being funky with a big Afro elementary school kid playing in nightclubs in the third grade. I understand why they're not as forward thinking as me, right? And I'll give them time as best I can. But I think we're headed one of the things that makes me know we're headed in the right direction is the effort that's being put out to make sure that we don't keep progressing. Right? They're taking books out of school and they're banning curriculums because we're moving forward and they're trying to slow it down. Right? If we weren't making progress, heck, Martin Luther King still be alive. Malcolm X still be alive. Bobby Seale would still be alive. And all those other people who got killed because they were making progress faster than the country wanted to go. That being said, the comedians, the musicians, the creative people are helping to move culture forward by having people address issues that they would have kept themselves from getting to, and learning from it because they're laughing at it or got a tear coming down their eye in a movie or they're grooving to it in a song. And that's the highest calling of creative people, is to keep culturally pushing us forward.
Yeah. And comedy's such a good tool with it. And music, of course. But like with comedy, I remember my dad saying, like, I'd come to the club in New York City and there'd be like 5 comics and they're all like pros. And it'd be like the black guys making fun of the white guys making fun of the Chinese guys making fun of the Jews, the Jewish comics making fun of, and he goes, everybody's shitting on each other and we're all getting along and laughing at it.
Right.
Nobody got bent out of shape.
Right.
And so when does the good of that when is the sour part point in where it's like, we have to stop. You can't say that. You can't do that. Because, I mean, it's a weird idea because it's good to all laugh at it, but then it's like, then there's people that have to go too far.
Well, there is, but remember, creativity is always risk.
Yes.
Creativity is always risk. Even in music, I make a song, there's a chance nobody's going to like it, right? There's a chance nobody's going to like it. There's a chance you're going to say it and people aren't going to laugh. Every growth always has vulnerability, right? Nobody gets to be an adult without puberty, right? Puberty is like awkward necessity. It's awkward. It's painful. Your knees hurt. Your feet are too long for your body for a while. Your legs are too long for your torso for a minute. But it's necessary for you to get to be this healthy human. And that's part of us getting it wrong is part of getting it right. Like nobody gets to be a great sailor on a calm sea, right? You're going to turn some boats over. You're going to say some things that are wrong. You're going to congratulate the woman on her pregnancy and she's not pregnant.
That is how this all started 40 minutes ago.
but that's part of it, right? That's part of it. The demise of conversation is part of the growth of free speech. Free speech it's a privilege, but it's also a minefield.
Yeah,
it's a minefield where everybody can say anything they want, and the only thing that makes it healthy or not is your understanding of the consequences of free speech. You just have to have a feel for that. We're free to say whatever we want, but society doesn't allow us to be free of consequences.
Yeah. You can say it, just don't be a dick.
I think Chris Rock in his last special had the perfect joke for racism when he talked about Meghan Markle saying that someone in the royal family asked what color is the baby gonna be. Right. And he said, black people ask what color is the baby. And that's just the greatest answer.
No, that's the truth. That's the truth. It's like what's important to learn is what you have a right to do is not always the right thing to do. It doesn't make it right to do just because you have a right to do it. Again, I have the right to jump off this balcony, but it doesn't take away the consequences of jumping off the balcony.
Right.
You have the right to use the N word in the improper place if you're a white person, but your career is probably jumping off the cliff. I mean, jumping off the balcony.
Right.
You know what I mean? Probably. And
if you do have a point to make, like
if you
have a point to make, be a better writer.
Mm-hmm.
Be a better writer. Don't take the easy way because it's you feel like you're being edgy. If you do have, a point to make, and I want to do a joke about race,
right?
Maybe you have to work a little harder so you can do it without consequence.
Right. Being edgy is knowing where the edge is and getting dangerously close. It's not jumping over the edge. Being edgy is not merging with the edge.
Yeah. That's
it's interacting.
A lot of young comics that want to work edgy go like, okay, I have to have a cancer joke, an AIDS joke, a Hitler joke, and it's
right. Well, even I find myself sometimes watching comedy, and some of the black comics, like there's comics that aren't funny of every denomination, and sometimes I find myself listening to comedy and I can just hear the N word is just gratuitous. You know what I mean? Like the N word is the comedy, as opposed to just sort of being the condiment on a good meal. But the way I see it, what I like about music and comedy, music is taking differences and taking different sounds. And I remind people that like noise and music are made of the same sounds. It's just that in music, You put them on the beat, which means that you arrange silence intelligently between these, and you give them harmony, which means you group them intelligently. So you group them intelligently this way, and in sound, it gives you music. With comedy takes all the components of the differences and puts it in a way that you see the same thing, but you see it in a way that makes you laugh. And to me, that's much more, almost from a musician standpoint, it seems much more challenging. But to make somebody take a look at the same stuff and arrange it in a way that now it makes them laugh, like the N-word, right, which nobody wants to approach, right? But N-G-G-E-R-S, these people are very annoying, and his brain goes where everybody's brain is, and he goes, no, it's naggers. Makes you see the humor of a situation that would normally make us throw hands, and that's good. That's good that we can lighten things up a little bit, because it's not what you sort of learn from that. It's not the word per se. It's what the word represents. Like I've heard the word before. You just go, there it goes again. But it cuts a lot deeper when you get treated like one, whether they say it or not.
It's the intent more than
absolutely,
the word.
Absolutely.
You could be saying, leaf, but with that intent, the word leaf is now.
Well, here's a great example. You see the young child talking about how pretty that pussycat is. If they don't say cat, right? You know what I mean? Now they got soap in the mouth. You're taking away the Xbox. You can't use a cell phone and obviously, it's more than just what the words are.
Yeah.
So,
and with intent. The Italians are the king of it, where they call you, chief or hey boss. Like,
right.
You should be happy he's calling you chief or boss or buddy, but the way
buddy.
He's saying it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, Halls. Let me tell you something, Halls. Buddy. Tell you something, buddy. You're everything but that person's buddy, right?
Yes.
Tell you something, buddy. Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Yeah. It's like I was telling my wife, if I'm driving in a rural area, right? And you see the guy, with the flag in the middle of the yard. I was telling her, a lot of times that's maybe not the first place I'm going to stop to ask directions. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, exactly. Not that the flag is not a good thing. It is a good thing. But, you know what I mean? If I'm in that rural area, I don't know.
I always laugh. I see the guys like up north, like in Ohio, with the Confederate flag on their truck. I'm like, you live in the North.
Yeah, that Confederate flag, man, that is something else. What's my right to fly that? Yes.
Well, I had a bit, I was really proud of it, but it just didn't fit in my act, where I would say, having the Confederate flag on your truck is like rooting for the Washington Generals in basketball. They never, you didn't win. What are you doing?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, yeah. The Washington Generals,
the biggest losers of all time.
Basketball.
You go to every Globetrotter game going, I think today's the day.
They got it this time.
Did the Washington Generals ever have a lead?
I think they won once.
Did they win once?
I think they won once. I think there might have been a reason, but I think they won.
Man.
Yeah, but it just makes me laugh when people get mad about the Confederate flag. I'm like, they lost. It's okay.
For the Washington Generals. That is funny.
It's so funny. We're talking about this right now. I just read the book, the Benedict Arnold, the notorious Benedict Arnold.
Yes.
Oh, man, you read the whole book on it.
Yeah, it was really good. And they were talking about the Washington's Crossing, the big famous Revolutionary War where the brigade they crossed
Delaware.
In Delaware.
Snow, barefoot.
Right.
Yeah, it was freezing.
It was a brigade out of Long Island.
Yeah.
And I was in Long Island when I was reading it. So I did a bit, and I wanted to put it in my act because I was like, there was a bunch of guys from Long Island. You know why they didn't have shoes? They were Italian guys going, "Hey, these are Gucci's. I'm not getting them."
Yeah, they had shoes. They just didn't want to ruin them.
Holding their shoes, walking across the field. Like, whoa, these are expensive.
Hey. That's funny.
They go up to Washington. They go up to Washington going, "Where'd you get those teeth? I got a guy."
He'll hook you up. Something nice.
Yeah. Well, you were right. You were right. You weren't going to get a word in. I caught myself at about minute 35. You know, nobody else has said anything except me.
No, it's been great because it really has been great. You're like, this is not what I expected either. It's just been a wonderful.
No, it wasn't what I expected either.
Wow.
But no, his nagger's got to. You know,
I know.
Joe has the heart and the brain of a comic, man.
Yeah, you do.
Comedian.
Yeah.
Joke when I don't have my shirt on, I look like a kangaroo with all the kids home.